Hello everyone, welcome to the MetaGearSolid.org podcast. This is the fourth one, and I'm joined once again by our friend Joey.
Hello.
Why don't you tell everybody what the podcast is about?
Peace Walker, Rising, and pretty much is what we think about it.
Yep. Recently, the demo for Peace Walker was released. And have you played that? You got a PSP?
Yes, sir. And I went ahead and downloaded it. I guess I was pretty impressed. I was pretty impressed with how far they've gone from Portable Ops.
I never played Portable Ops. I heard the control scheme was really bad, and I never really saw it as being canon story, even though they said that it was. Right.
Well, it can be frustrating at times, but it's playable. It's entertaining. If it's sure the storyline, I guess to some people, it doesn't have to have any meaning to it. It doesn't really have too much as controlling as they said it would be. Like it would have controlled Metal Gear Solid 4 storyline from everything else. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I really don't care as far as canon goes. I know I've talked about it sometimes that, I've always liked things that are different, and just to have a real Metal Gear Solid experience right off the bat was really nice to have for the PSP for the first time, and it has Ashley Wood art in it, which I was surprised to see Peace Walker had as well, and so I'm really pumped to see how Peace Walker will turn out.
Yeah. I downloaded the demo too, actually, so I got a chance to play it. I only played through the first part there, where you're. I guess I did the tutorial where they train you on how to do things. Didn't really understand it, of course, it's in Japanese.
Right.
But yeah, then I found that the part where I was actually sneaking through the jungle there, I was surprised how good it was, but it just kind of. I guess when you play multiplayer, that's when it would really shine. You'd really get into it. Right now, when I was playing it just by myself, I felt like, I'd rather have it on PlayStation, like actual controller, and it was good for a PSP game, but I don't think that's how I like to judge something. Like, this is good considering that it's on this platform. I'd rather have a game that was developed for the actual system and then have it just be more fun. But I guess since you can take it anywhere, you can play with friends, that's where it will actually start to stand out and actually maybe even be worthy to compare to a full console release game.
Yes and no. I will mention Portable Ops Plus just because of that. Portable Ops Plus was pretty much an expansion to Portable Ops. It was a standalone game. And it pretty much focused on the multiplayer aspect. And although, by theory, it should have been good, but it pretty much was a really bad game as far as playing by yourself and stuff like that. You got none of the original game. It was pretty much all just multiplayer. And you pretty much lost what the first game had as far as actually having something to do. When it's multiplayer, you pretty much just have it multiplayer, and it's great to a certain point. But when if you're playing the game by yourself, if you are by yourself, that's where it starts to really get bad. It's good to have a bit of both on each end. Have the best of both worlds. But multiplayer itself will not make or break a PSP game to me. I think there needs to be a really good first-person storyline, which I think Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is going to have. And I think when you say that it may not have been made for the system, I think it actually was as far as originally starting up from the ground up. I mean, it wasn't like originally slated as a main game, then ported over to a...
No, that's not what I meant. Yeah. Obviously, it's designed for the PSP, and they're probably starting from scratch again like they usually do. But the only thing is that I would rather considering he's basically calling it Metal Gear Solid 5, this is his next big project. It's real canon story. Kojima's, working on everything here. Considering that it's supposed to be on that scale, it's really supposed to be a must-have kind of thing. This is basically Metal Gear Solid 5 is what he said before. I don't want to have to say it's good for a PSP game, like it's good by PSP game standards, because if you hold it up to PS3 standards, it's not that good of controls. I'm still, having trouble aiming because of the little, you aim with the deep with the pad now with the X and square and everything. But even moving around, you just don't have as much subtlety, and the controls, using the D-pad to switch your items and things, it's not as good as it would be, or not as easy to control and as intuitive as it would be on the PlayStation 3. So that's what I mean, that by PSP game standards, I'm sure that it's an excellent game, and it'll be better than pretty much everything else there is. But compared to what I consider the main installments, 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's going to be worse. And then that's where I kind of think I'd rather have it on the full one. But of course, I also think Kojima maybe was making it for the PSP specifically because it would be a lower standard that he'd be going up against. He wouldn't have to do the multi-million-dollar budget, trying to make this huge blockbuster game. It saves a lot of money and a lot of time, and it's just probably a lot easier to develop for on a PSP. And I noticed you're running up the beach, you got this little gentle slope of sand, and I was thinking, okay, I'll go explore this whole area. You can't even run up it. It's just a bunch of invisible borders everywhere. So you couldn't really get away with that as well in a PS3 system, but when it's on a PSP, you're kind of like, oh, okay, it's basically a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 engine, or equivalent. But in the end, I think I'll probably buy it and I'll play it, but I just don't like the idea of having to say it's good for a PSP game. You know what I mean?
Right. And then too, probably as far as controls, that goes as far as to the limitation of the PS3 or the PSP. You're missing that second analog stick. You're missing those second trigger buttons there on the back. So yes, it is, pretty much stuck like that as far as controls go. It's also a demo. I mean, and it's coming out next year. There's plenty of time for updates to be made, things to be done. As far as thinking of it as being on another system, I can understand, this is Metal Gear Solid 5. He's making a big deal out of it. The Metal Gear Solid 4 team is working on this one as well. And one would think, go ahead and put it on a main system and, get that quality. But I don't see why they can't do a blockbuster game on a PSP. The PSP system is limited, of course, but that doesn't mean that there won't be a good storyline. That doesn't mean that, the controlling will be a true hindrance after going through all of it. And like I said, once we figure out what we're doing for the most part and we see that storyline and, we get a better understanding of what's going on, I'm sure, more hype will be coming up, especially if we get an English demo.
Right.
With, full voice cast and everything like that. I mean, something that was not even in Portable Ops was voice work and 3D movement and stuff like that on the game at all. All we got was text, and then when you wanted to do voice work or animation, you had Ashley Wood. What's great about this is that they're putting in both. So they are, and again, I guess they just are more figuring out what the limitations was before and how to fix it better. And I think that just keeps upping the step of what it can do.